Hey, welcome back. Good to have you here. Doing something just a little bit different today. I want to go over the mistakes I see newer real estate photographers make. I got my list here to share with you. So the first mistake I see in people's images when browsing things like Reddit is people either shooting the camera tilted up or with the camera tilted down. So it makes your verticals just completely wonky and just does not produce a good image. When you're setting up your photos, you want to have the left side and the right side perfectly vertical. So the first thing you can do to help you get better at this is you can enable your in-camera level. And when all those lines are green, then it's close enough that it'll be fixed in post rather easily. The second thing you can do is enable your rule of thirds grid. You can align the different, walls that you see and different edges to make sure that things are perfectly vertical, straight up and down. So you really want to prioritize getting your verticals locked down. If you don't, the images just won't look super nice. So the second mistake I see is either shooting too low or too high. You want to have a good mixture of ceiling to floor ratio, about the same 50-50. And if you're shooting, let's say, 3 feet off the ground, you're going to have a whole lot more floor than you do ceiling. And if you shoot a house that has really, really tall ceilings, this one has really short ceilings, but if you shoot one that has tall ceilings and you're shooting 3 feet off the ground, you're gonna see a lot of floor and not so much ceiling. And if you're shooting too high, on the flip side, you'll have way too much ceiling and not nearly enough floor. It just, the rule of thumb that I like to do is you wanna be shooting about chest height or a little bit lower, like the top of the camera is at like nipple height. That's the best height that I've found. So about 4.5 feet to 5.5 feet. I'm 5'7". That's too tall. Like 4.5 feet to 5 feet. That should be fine. The third mistake I see so many new real estate photographers make, especially again on Reddit, is falling into the trap of shooting flash ambient photography when you should just be shooting HDR. Especially if you want to really maximize your time spent shooting and delivering, either taking this full time or doing it as a side hustle. It's going to be really difficult if you're spending, twice as long as you need to be shooting flash when you could just be shooting HDR bracketed, even 3 images. And, sure, flash ambient gives the most pleasing result, but if you show a side-by-side HDR with a flash ambient to your clients, they're not going to know the difference, and they might even choose the HDR because it looks even brighter. Shooting flash ambient is fine if you know what you're doing, but if you're just nuking the entire image with flashes just for the sake of using flash, and you're having to blend all those in Photoshop together, it's just a huge waste of time. Just shoot HDR. Nobody cares if you use a flash. And if you can spend 20 minutes inside of a listing doing just photos versus an hour and then much less editing time, it's just the way to go. Just shoot HDR. Another mistake I see so many newer people make, and I see this a lot with people that shoot flash ambient, is editing their own photos. When I first started real estate photography, I shot flash ambient too. I shot flash ambient HDR blends, and that I was taking about an hour and a half on a property to just do photos. I was only charging $150, and I was spending, 2.5 to 3.5 hours editing all the photos, manually blending them in Photoshop, bringing them into Lightroom, applying presets. It was just a ginormous waste of time. So just shoot HDR and outsource your photo editing. I pay someone 85 cents per finished image to edit my photos, and this is what they look like. I think they're pretty fine. They're not incredible, but this is a volume-based business. This is not an art, this is a science to be done again and again and again. And whatever way you can do that is absolutely fastest and achieves a good enough result. I'm not saying like, oh, that's okay. I'm saying a good enough result. Like it's good enough to pass, it's good enough to sell. That's what you want to do. So shoot HDR and get somebody else to edit them. There's no shortage of editing solutions. Promise you can find one. If you don't know one, just comment below and I'll send you 6 different options. The next mistake I see new real estate photographers make is just sticking with photos and not going out on a limb and providing more services. So you got to put yourself in the shoes of a busy realtor. If you were them, when you're getting a listing ready for sale, do you want to call 5, 6, 7 service providers, a drone guy, a virtual tour guy, photographer, a floor plan maker, video person, all these things? It just sounds like a nightmare. So your clients are going to choose the convenient solution every time. So if you're just doing photos, or if you're just doing photos and floor plan, you might have a little bit of work coming your way, and that's okay. You really want to press into doing virtual tours, drone footage like pictures and videos, listing websites, floor plans. You can get 3D floor plans made by those same editors that do your photos. There's all kinds of things that you can do. So that mistake is just sticking with photos or really, really small service offering, and that turns away clients because they want one service provider to get everything done at the same time in these properties and not have to worry about it anymore. They don't want to make 8 calls. They want to make 1 phone call. So make the one person that they call you. Another mistake I see newer people make, even if they have a ton of these services that they can offer, is not creating value-filled service bundles, taking into account how much time it's going to take you to do these services and maximizing the amount of revenue that you are doing them for. So doing photos, floor plan, drone photos, and virtual tour for $600 seems like a steal on client side because that's super, super cheap. But in all reality, it doesn't take you that long to do. Photos might be 20 minutes of, your floor plan would be 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops. Drone photos, another 5 minutes. Virtual tour, maybe 30 minutes depending on the size of the property. So in all reality, it might take you like an hour and a half to do it, and then you outsource everything and you're done. That's $600, super easy. So you want to create value-packed service bundles that from client side look amazing, and on your side don't take that much effort to do, but give you the most amount of revenue. The next mistake I see so many new real estate photographers make is sinking thousands of dollars into their gear when just starting out. I was one of the same people. I bought a Sony a7 III, I bought a Sigma 14 to 24 millimeter f2.8. So that was, let's see, I bought the camera for $1,400 and the lens for $1,300. So $2,700 right there. It's just a waste of money. You don't need to be spending all this. I actually downgraded to this Canon M50 and Canon 11 to 22 millimeter f3.5 to 5.6, I think it is. And it works fine. Sure, it's a little narrow because it's like a 17 millimeter field of view equivalent, but it's not that bad. And you can get this camera for sub $400 used on eBay, and the lens another $350, maybe even less if you get lucky on, an auction. So you don't need to be sinking thousands and thousands of dollars. You can start with, your drone. You can get a DJI Mini 2 for $280. You can get a Ricoh Theta SC for, I think, $300. So all in, you can provide all the services. They, won't be top tier quality if you're getting only the cheapest things, but at least you can start, and then you can quickly upgrade it to the next best thing that still gets the best result, but not spending thousands of dollars. So you don't need a DJI Mavic 3 Classic. I still use a DJI Air 2 that I got in 2018, I think, maybe a year after it came out, whenever it came out, I'm not sure. And I have a DJI Mini 3 Pro that one of my photographers used. I was using that and I was like, well, the Mini 3 Pro is easier to use, so you just take that one and I'll do the Air 2. It's not even the Air 2S. The Air 2S is a fantastic drone, but the Air 2, I think you can get the Fly More combo for like $700 now, so you don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get into this. And especially if you're buying something like this where it's $350, $400, I think total maybe $650 for this, you can do like 4 jobs and make that back, or 1 job if you are doing more services and make that back. There's really just no excuse. You can spend bare bones and get into this. It's not that big of a deal. So those are the mistakes that I see newer real estate photographers make. If you have any questions or you want to see more videos like this, just leave a comment down below. My main goal with this channel is to help as many new real estate photographers and experienced real estate photographers maximize their business growth and maximize the amount of revenue that they can charge per listing and grow their businesses to 6 figures and beyond, because that's what I did in less than a year and it was super fun. So thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one.